So you have a website, you've put all that work into creating the website, uploaded all your images, doing all the copy. Now what? That's what I want to talk about in today's episode, because quite often we create a website, we put all that work into it, and then we don't have a clue what to do with it or how to get eyeballs on the site. So that's what I'm going to share today. So first of all, before I delve in, I'll talk a little bit about websites and whether you need one, because there could be people listening in on this that don't have a website. So I believe that a website is important, but I believe that you can get by without a website, especially at the beginning stages of being an artist. Because of social media, it's so incredible that we can create a free platform and engage people through content on social media. And having that alone in the beginning stages is perfectly enough. It's fine to just have a social media profile. There becomes a point where social media is great for socializing. It's great for, I might go and find somebody on an Instagram profile, and it's great for looking at that person, finding a few pieces of artwork, following along their journey, and having a chat with people. So you can gain good rapport. It can get people really used to who you are and what you do. But what I find is when I look on a social media profile, you don't get the core juicy information. And especially if you're a buyer, sometimes when I see somebody on Instagram or Facebook, for example, and I like the artwork, what I tend to do, and especially if it's an investment of some kind, is I will go and have a look at their website. The reason I do that, and the reason I know a lot of other people do that, is because when you're about to make an investment in somebody, you want to find out more about them. You want to go and have a look to see what they're about and where do they live and what are they doing and is this safe and can I really trust this person? And that's generally why people are going on websites. So a website is your home, it's the anchor. The about page on a website is the most looked at page. It's what people search for the most. They will go to the about page to learn more about you. So having both is incredible because you get to socialize, you get to interact on social media. And then you also have this base where you can direct people to that should illustrate exactly who you are, what you do. On a website, you want to direct people to the next step. So if I want to buy from you, where do I do that? You can do that on social media, but I just think it's got so much more scope to put things like your FAQs. So if someone buys from you, what's the next step? Again, if you're in the early stages, you don't need all of that. You can get away with just having a one-page website. This is how I started. I had a one-page website with my name at the top, artist underneath. I had a panel of images which showed my artwork, and I had how people contacted me. And that was way before the social media days. So that was it. That was my website, and I had a business card, and I had my website on the business card, and it looked super professional. And that was a drag and drop website which I created really quickly. So if you're a hub member, by the way, and our hub is our platform to help people make art a living, in the hub there is a whole lesson on creating websites. So if you haven't seen that, go and check that out. But having a website, I believe, is important at a certain stage. And so what happens then is between the social media and the website is you're kind of pushing people backwards and forwards because, like I said, the social media is where you'll interact and the website is usually where they'll go and buy from. You can sell on social media, but that's where you're directing people back to your base. They might sign up for your newsletter. They might sign up to hear more from you. So once you've created your website, it's not enough then to just leave it there because it will just sit there in a big black hole. You need to drive people to the website. And there are usually two main ways of doing this. And one is paid. So you pay people, you pay Google ads, you pay for Facebook ads and things like that and drive people to the website. Or you do it organically. And organically is the preferred way because that's where you're generating traffic to your website and you don't have to pay for it. So I just wanted to share a few tips on how you can drive traffic to your website. And number one is, if you do have a social media profile, the first thing you need to do is you need to start talking about that website in your social media posts. Not in every single post, but you do need to start mentioning that you have a website. Because if you're not mentioning or talking about your website, then how do people know that you have one? And social media is a great place to do that. So on certain posts, what I would do, and this is what I do, I would put maybe an image of an artwork, put a great headline on the social media post, and talk a little bit about that artwork and leave a gap. And the gap is then, if that person's interested in learning more about that artwork, or they want to go and buy it, for example, that's the gap. So you can go and learn more about this over on my website. The link is in the bio, or here is the link. Always pop the links if you're driving people to your website. It's so important to do that, because if you say, go and check out my website, most people won't take the action to go and try and find your website. So as much as possible, you need to have the links for your website everywhere and make it really easy for people to click on them. And especially if you can put the website link in a social media post, which you can't do on Instagram, but you can on other platforms, do it as much as possible. Really keep mentioning, driving people back to your website. You could say in your posts that I've got this amazing artwork. It's just gone live on my website now. Here's the link. Go and click to learn more. You can put things like that something's just been released. You could even just say that you've just updated the about page. You know, be honest and say, I've just worked on this website. Here it is. Go and check it out. Let me know what you think. So really keep making an effort every week. You must every week drive people to your website if possible. So that's the best way, is just to start talking about it. If you have an email list, so an email list is where people subscribe to join your email and receive emails from you to keep in touch with you. Again, if you are a hub member, we have the most amazing lesson inside the hub, which teaches you step by step of how to create an email list so that you can start getting people to subscribe to hear from you. So if you have an email list, what you'll want to start doing is emailing people. The duration and how often is completely up to you. Some people do it once a week, some people do it once a month. You want to do it at least once a month. In those emails, rather than just writing out what you're doing, you want to be putting links to drive people back to your website. Now, there is conversation around this of putting too many links in can then mark your email as spam. So you want to be careful not to fill too many links. We put loads of links in our emails. We don't have a problem with it, but that's just something to bear in mind. But you might want to put a link, again, driving people. You might want to talk about an artwork and say, I've just completed this artwork. It's on the website. Click here to go and have a look and read more about it. So you don't want to give every bit of information in that email. You want to be saving some of that information and going, if you don't want to learn more, click here. And as much as possible, you want to keep thinking, how can I drive people to the site? How can I keep mentioning, talking, but leaving a bit of a gap and saying, go over to the website? Because the more traffic you can take over to your website, the more Google will love you, because it works like social media. I talk about this, where I've got this analogy where, say you've got a seaside town, and on the seaside town there's a row of shops. This is how social media works as well. This is a generalization of algorithms. There's so much more to it than this, but just in simplistic form. You have a coach load of people turn up, and the coach driver will get off and people will say, which shop should we go to? And they'll know that there's lots of activity at this shop here. There's no one in that shop there, so I wouldn't go to that one. Go to that one. I know that one's really, really good. And it's kind of like the similar thing when there's stuff happening. The social media platforms and Google, they like you. They go, oh, there's stuff going on here. There's loads of people checking this site out. Look, we must start sending more people here. There must be some good stuff happening. So as much as possible, you want to be driving people over. So as well, there's something called backlinks. I'm not going to go into backlinks, but because I don't properly understand it myself, if I'm honest. But it's about having people directed from different locations can really help as well, because Google's noticing that there's somebody coming from Facebook, and there's someone coming from over here, and there's someone coming from over here in an email. And if you can collaborate with somebody where they feature you in some way and they share a link to your website, that's even better. So when you start to have traffic coming in from different directions, that can help boost your site, which brings me to SEO. So SEO is search engine optimization. And search engine optimization is where you come up in searches, basically. So it's where your website gets featured when people do a search. And quite often people are using Google, as we know, but Google also owns YouTube, so they work very well together. So one thing you can do to boost SEO, and SEO is trawling your site in the background. So when people Google, it's trawling your site for keywords that it can pull to the top and go, these are the sites that you want to look at based on that search. So the great thing with the keyword searches is when you have a blog, or even if you don't have a blog, what you want to do in terms of your copy on your website is start to put things into the copy is the text, by the way. So on your about page, you'll have copy saying, I'm an artist from, or my work investigates, and it's what you describe. And what you can do is start to really pay attention to what people are searching for when they're buying art. So you could put keywords in like, how do I buy art? And you could just put that question in, and you don't have to actually answer it, but this was a question that I pondered recently. But just putting that keyword in, when people search it, it will bring up your site. So by the way, if you're a hub member, there is another lesson that I want to point you to at this moment, and that is the SEO lesson with our special guest Hannah Kirk. She did a great lesson in the hub talking you through how to build SEO into your website. It's a fab lesson, so go and check that out. But on a basic level right now, you can do this, and the way you can also boost SEO is by having a blog. So by having a blog, that enables you to keep updating content on your website and using those keywords. And a great site that I came across recently was called Ask the Public. And Ask the Public is a site that you can use to see what people are Google searching. So if you're selling art, you can actually go in and have a look and see what people are actually searching for when they want to buy art. And even better, if you work in a certain subject matter or a certain industry, you can really drill down into Ask the Public and start to put keywords in, and you'll see what people are searching. And you can go and then include those words, those exact words that people are Googling, into your site somehow so that it gets pulled up into the search. So again, if you then have a blog, one of the things that we do, and if you're on our email list, you'll know what we do is we'll write out the email, and we won't give you everything. We'll give you a little snippet of what this week's blog is about, and then we're pointing you over to the website to go and read the full blog. Now, there's a few reasons we're doing that. One is you don't want to send a big, massive email. But two is we are driving people back to the site because it helps SEO. So if you ever see one of our emails, please just click the link, even if you don't read it, because it helps drive traffic. So what you can do then is, if you do have a blog, then again, you can share those links with other people, and you can say, I've just written this great blog article. Would you mind sharing it? If you've got a relationship with people, then those links come back to your site. So this is what you want to be doing, is as much as possible thinking, how can I drive traffic? How can I get these links scattered everywhere where it's all coming back to my website? You can also have a conversation in your social media posts. If you've got a blog, you can start that conversation, remember, and then say, to read more about this, go over to the blog and put the link in. Make it really easy for people to click on that link. Now, a couple of other things that I want to talk before I go is with regards to SEO. One of the things that Google hates are big images. So this is one of the mistakes that I made when I first created my website. So what I'm terrible for this. What I do a lot, and Andrew in our team who works on the tech side hates me for this. I'm lazy and I'll take screenshots of things. So we might have designed an image, and rather than download it, this is so embarrassing to admit, I'll just take a screenshot of it because I'm impatient and I don't like pressing download and saving it and then going to find it. And so I'll take a screenshot. And historically, what I did was took loads of screenshots of all the images that I wanted on my website. Now, a screenshot, I didn't realize, is humongous. It's a massive file. So what I then did was uploaded all these images onto the website. Now, I was using a WordPress website, and the images were massive and the site was slow. And if you clicked on it, it took ages for these images to load. And the problem there is Google do not like you when you have a slow site. They don't want to point people to a slow site that's going to take ages to load. So it's that thing again with the shop. If you think coach load of people and the coach guy or lady says, there's a shop there, it looks really busy, but then don't go to that one because I've heard that the service is really slow. You're going to go in there and you're going to spend about an hour to get served. It's that kind of thing. They're not going to send you to the site. So you want to make sure that your site speed is really good to come up in the Google searches and for your own customer experience as well. Again, we have an amazing lesson inside the hub on this called Getting Images Web Ready. And we talk about how to compress those images. They need to be under 100 kilobytes, 100 KB. Every image ideally needs to be under 100 KB. So if you have a website, I highly recommend that you look at your images and make sure that they're all very, very small. And you can also do a site speed test on your site as well. Again, in the lesson that we're releasing in the hub, we're going to be talking about this. But you can, if you just Google site speed, there'll be sites where you just type in your website and it will tell you what your site speed is. And it's very good because it will tell you if it's slow, it will tell you the reasons why, and then you can fix the site speed of your site. So there are a couple of things that I would look at in terms of helping your SEO and coming up in the search, because ultimately you want this to be free. You don't want to have to pay for people to see your site. Finally, one other way to do it is to embed video into your site. So if you use video, you can embed videos via YouTube, and I would always recommend using YouTube because Google owns YouTube. So Google will put YouTube videos up before anybody else's because they own the platforms. So as much as possible, if you do video, having some link with YouTube and embedding those on your site. You can host them on YouTube. You can even host videos unlisted on YouTube where people can't see them if you wanted to, and then have them embedded on your site so they're only seen on your site. You can do that. And then that helps as well because it will search the YouTube video and the site, and they work very well together when you do that. So that's it. They're my tips for getting more eyeballs on your website. Just keep sharing it. Every week you must ask yourself, how am I driving people to my website this week? Can I put some new content on so I can refresh it and point people there? Are there people that could share my links? Have I got a friend that we could do a swap with and say, have you seen this artist? Do things like that and share each other's links with your audiences. It all helps when even just one person coming through onto your website will help. One thing I want to say as well before I go is you want to cross-reference social media and websites. So what I mean by that is if someone lands on your social media, you must have your website. It must direct to them. There must be this loop, and you must have on your website your social media very, very clearly, because what you don't want is someone to land on your website and to disappear and not look at you again. Because the chances of people going back onto a website ask yourself, how often have you gone onto a website and then you've gone on again? Unless you're really into that person or whatever it was you were looking for, most of the time people will go on a website, they'll look at what they need and they'll come off it and they don't go back on it again. So you don't want them to do that. You want them to stay in your world in some way. So you either want your social media links prominent so that they follow you, and prompt them, give people a call to action and say, follow me on Instagram. When you say the actual words, people will take action. And so make sure that on your site, there is some way of them keeping in touch with you. That's why signing up for an email list is great, because you have that email then that you can keep in touch with people with. And in fact, I'm going to leave you with one final tip that our member, Jane Powell, shared with us in a session today. She has just set up her newsletter. I think she's had it going for quite a while, actually. But she decided to direct message people who follow her on social media. And she direct messaged them and she said, I've got a great newsletter coming out. Thank you for following me. I've got a great newsletter coming out, and I wondered whether you wanted to sign up to be the first to hear. And she said that every single person, or the majority of every single person, replied back and said, absolutely, yeah, put me on the list. So again, you could do things like that. If you have people following you, you could message them directly, really, really authentically and kindly, and just say, hey, I've just released my website, or I've just done something amazing on my website. I just wanted to let you know it's here if you're interested. If not, no problem. Things like that, where you're just being authentic, again, driving people back. But great tip from Jane Powell. Thank you for that one. So yeah, that's it. There are my tips to get more eyeballs on your website. So enjoy, have a little tinker, have a little think about every week how you can drive people, and let me know how it goes. Take care. Bye bye.